Why would I betray you?
We all have our secrets. We just didn't get to yours yet.
Hello and welcome back to Hearthstone. This time around we're looking to bring a sense of class and, more importantly, style to Thief Rogue. Because let's be honest, the archetype hasn't exactly got a great rap. The plan is simple. Since we're playing in Wild, there are a good number of cards that will let us steal from our fellow players. Specifically, minions like Blink Fox and Swashbuckler, as well as spells like Clever Disguise, Pilfer and Hallucination. We can't just walk around stealing in plain sight. We need someone who can stay hidden. Thankfully, such a character came out recently in Ashes of Outland. Akama and his Prime form both have stealth, with Akama Prime being able to remain permanently stealthed. Now this is a good start to the deck, but we'll of course need some kind of win condition to top it off. The first comes from Bizarre Burglary, and the 3/2 Mirage Blades that replace our hero power. And the second comes from one of the more underrated parts of this deck, at least when it was back in standard format, Test Greymane. Our main plan with the deck revolves around completing the quest to upgrade our hero power, and then playing as many useful cards as possible to fill a board and deal tons of damage with Tess. If all goes well, we'll use Shadow Step to return her and be able to use her again to keep up pressure. The idea is that a consistent full board alongside our clear spells and improved weapon will allow us to maintain board control and whittle down the opponent. And holy shit, I feel like I've done this before. The last piece of the puzzle is Lillian Voss, as she'll allow us to essentially reroll our stolen spells if we get stuck with junk in our hand. Now that we know our plan on paper, I think it's about time I put my money where my mouth is, and see how good this deck is in action.
You asked for it. None can escape my fury.
At the start of the game, it's pretty essential to get as many of the cheap steal cards in opening hands as possible, since this means you'll be able to get more value out of Tess when you play her. My preferred starting cards are Pilfer, Swashbuckler and Blink Fox, as it gives a decent opening curve. And after that, you're off to the races. Cards like Assassinate and Unidentified Contract are great for keeping dangerous threats off the board while you build up stolen spells. Akama and Ambush are also good for providing threats of your own, especially if you low roll with your stolen cards. I mean, how are they supposed to hit something that just stays in stealth menacingly?
Watch closely as I make everyone disappear.
Oh, come the fuck on. Oh, for God's sake. Oh well, I guess I wouldn't be a great spy if I didn't know how to improvise.
I once saw him kill 3 men in a bar with a bouncer.
Mine.
Fucking bouncer.
Maiev versus Rexa. Let the hunt begin.
But how well does it play against a class with more reliance on minions like Hunter? Pretty well, actually. I mean, as long as nothing happens to your Akama, you should be pretty much set in the early game.
You fell right into my trap.
Oh, you've gotta be kidding me, not again. How are you supposed to convince him to make 3 more films now? Thankfully, the real bread and butter of this deck are the high tier spells you can get away with stealing. Class secrets and combo cards being the best. Even cards that would normally be considered weaker in their respective decks can be pretty viable when you repeat them. Druid cards like Claw that give both armor and attack are useful for Rogue, and when stacked with Tess can cause your attacks to pack a real punch. A card that ended up being more useful than I originally thought was Chief Inspector, who was able to run counterintelligence for my deck and clear enemy secrets. This was the match that really showed just how strong Tess can be if you pull off a decent chain of stolen cards. Between things like Nagrand's Slam, Pack Instincts and Stampede, I was able to summon a lethal board with a single card.
Idea what I'm capable of. Mine.
Versus Uther. I will fight with honor.
This was the first match I used the Bizarre Burglary quest in, and oh boy did it not disappoint. Being able to attack anything on the board without fear due to the immune makes the blades almost essential in this deck for board control. Playing against Paladin, the real key cards was stolen side quests, which both provided great boosts to my board when I completed them. Sanctuary was harder to get done due to a few sneaky weapon attacks from the opponent, but with a little help from a stolen timeout, it became trivial to finish. The match came down to the wire, but in the end, with a little help from Spectral Cutlass, we pulled through.
Justice is mine.
Versus Jaina.
You asked for it. None
This was
can
it,
escape my
the
fury.
final match. With both the Mirage Blades and Tess at my side, I was confident that we could pull out one last win. And this was where both really outdid themselves.
Justice is mine.
The combination of the stolen secrets and spells alongside the 3 damage from the blades really carried the game. We managed to find a surprising number of synergies with the various stolen cards, from Cold Wraith and Freezing Potion, Force of Nature and Dendrologist,
Where my trees at?
and even a few Jade Idols. Facing against another mage provided us with a few useful secrets like Spellbender and Potion of Polymorph to help protect our board, and of course an endgame Test Shadow Step combo managed to secure us the win.
Justice is mine. You have no idea what I'm capable of. You have no idea what I'm capable of.
This deck archetype was, as expected, quite powerful and wild, especially since Blizzard has been pushing this rogue playstyle since the Grand Tournament. I was pleasantly surprised by how well a number of the stolen cards managed to work either with the deck or with other stolen cards. A Karma, while not essential to the deck, provided a decent ward threat, even if he was ultimately countered most of the time before he could get off his prime form. I think there is a place for this deck in Wild. Just remember, the golden rule of being a thief. Don't get caught.
Thank you. Justice is mine. Smart moves. I concede.